Hey everyone, welcome to Marvel Time, issue number 98.
Pressure's
Getting up
on.
there. um, how are the plans going for our big 100th spectacular? Do we have the fireworks and everything ready, or do we need to delay a little bit?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Magic Band Plus will synchronize with it.
Perfect. So we have less Marvel stuff to discuss this week than normal because somehow there's no Marvel TV show to talk about on Disney Plus. Like, what is going on here? I don't understand this.
Yeah, it's weird. Although they announced, so we don't have anything officially, that we know about through the end of the year. But they did announce a couple of like an assembled, a special Werewolf by Night documentary,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So there's going to be stuff.
Oh yeah, there's always gonna be stuff. That's not a problem. We do have some comics to talk about, and then some news as well. Let's get started here with our comics. And we're starting off with Captain America: Symbol of Truth number 6. We've been kind of in and out on this series while still kind of following along. I mean, it's a fairly easy to follow story. So I didn't really feel left out, jumping back into this one here. But what did you think of this issue?
I I don't know. It was a lot of talk about like economic policy.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
That wasn't particularly relevant to the story, except you could have said like it's like it's what why spend one panel discussing it when you could spend 3 pages. So I thought that was a little weird because it isn't, at least on the surface, doesn't necessarily it was almost came across as preachy, like
Yeah.
this is what we should do, which is, I mean, there's a place for that. I just don't know that it's in Captain America: Symbol of Truth. So I don't know. It kind of, and it starts that way, so it just kind of felt like I was being lectured at a political rally. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I had a hard time with the first, what is it, maybe 4 or 5 pages of this, and then it quickly turns a corner and becomes very action forward, going like for the rest of it. So I do feel like it kind of redeemed itself afterwards. Not that I don't even typically want a whole bunch of action in my comics. That's not, I like to see a story, develop and play out as opposed to just a whole bunch of bam, pow, wham. But I did like the balance here. I think because it was so slow in the beginning, having all those explosions and punches in the back half or so really balanced it out. And like I said, it's a very straightforward, easy to follow story. It's nothing too complicated once you get past the legal political ramblings. So it was okay. All of that adds up to it was fine. It was a decent. I read this one first, so it was an okay start to my comic reading today. Let's move on to our next issue, and this is going to be Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings number 4. So this is the new-ish at this point comic series that is more or less tying in with, well, not really. It's still a different story, but at least sort of playing off of the MCU Shang-Chi that we know. And I liked this one because, and this brings me back to an Avengers story arc that we talked about on here. It felt very much like one of those fighting video games. Like it felt like a Mortal Kombat story. Like it's 10 characters being pulled into this realm where they're now fighting for the right to own the 10 rings. And it feels, and like there's even a panel where it looks like it's the start of a fight in a game like that. So it was pretty cool to see that. What'd you think?
I liked it. I like that sort of. I like it when there's a game in a comics. Like arcades. Yeah. Favorite character. Just kidding. And so yeah, I I think it's one of this issue is a setup in many ways. So I mean we'll get more, but yeah, I did enjoy it. I thought it was a good issue.
Yeah, pretty solid. I actually, going into this one, I was thinking like, I think we read the first issue in this one and then haven't come back to it since. And so I was like, I expect to be out of the loop and kind of not really enjoy this one, and I liked it a lot more than I did. So it surprised me. And at the time, we're going in the order that I read these, by the way. This was I wrote this down as my pick of the week, and I thought, this could be a surprising winner for me. It didn't hold up because there were some other good ones, and we'll move on to some of them right now, including Avengers number 61. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, so it's focused on the new Star brand, who ages every time he uses his power. I think it had the most it had a reveal ending at the end, which we all saw coming.
Yeah.
And it was kind of continuing that Mephisto through time story.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was fine. I don't know that really moved anything forward, except unless you're really focused on Star Brand, who I'm not particularly. So
yeah, Star Brand is a character that I would, and it's difficult to even say because there's been different Star Brands over time, and but it's a character I'd like to learn more about and read more of. But this version of hers is very interesting, and I thought this comic was very. It's got a message to it. It's trying to be very inspirational about valuing life, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the X-Force comic that we're about to talk about. But it's sort of on the lighter side versus on the darker side. So I thought that was pretty cool that these two both came out this week. But I thought, it was a cool way to deliver that message. Predictable, like you said at the top there, that it I think even just from hearing our discussion about it, you can kind of guess what that final page really is. I also like that it's tying together the current Avengers, the whatever it's the 1 million BC Avengers and the Avengers Forever story is kind of all merging here. We know we're going to get that finale at some point, but I like that you're seeing that blend together here. So I liked it. And again, this then became my pick of the week. Didn't hold up, as we'll move on here.
Interesting.
And I'll just jump in and say X-Force number 33 is my pick of the week.
It's mine too.
Oh, cool. All right.
And I thought you weren't going to agree with me on this one, but
no. See, it's funny because this is typically my type of pick. It's that darker comic with focused on Kraven, and like I said, it balances with the Avengers story, but this focuses on the darker side as opposed to the light.
We just haven't been loving X books until recently, right. And so I feel like you were going to go with something not X this week, just because you've been kind of on an X mood. But
well, what's funny is this is a quote unquote X book that focuses mostly on Kraven the Hunter, so it's about a Spider-Man villain. So not really like the Krakoa X-Men, although Wolverine does have a big role to play in it as well. But then again, he's always been sort of his own thing too. Okay, so this is both of our pick of the week. What did you really like about this one?
I mean, I like the sort of hunt component of it, and the introspection into the revived Kraven, and there's some fun Deadpool stuff going on here. I mean, it's disturbing but fun.
Yeah, I mean, as that's sort of Deadpool's MO, right?
Right.
Kyle, I can hear this in the David Pumpkins voice here, but yeah, perfect. Yes, the dinosaurs are, believe it or not, part of it. And it's Kraven versus Wolverine, which is already such an awesome, dynamic.
Right.
I'm not sure what happens at the end here. I'm not sure how we got from, I don't know, this is 24 pages. I'm not sure how we got from page 22 to page 23 or 24.
When it's weird that the prose is that important. There's a lot of words in here that you actually have to read. It's not just background, it's actually a plot point.
But I'm also interested to see more because they tease some more, and I'm really curious where that's going to go. Kraven has always been an interesting character to me because he's pushed as so formidable, but he's human, right? He's a hunter. He's a guy with, tools. That's essentially what he is, and he's going up against this mutant who regenerates and has these unbreakable claws coming out of his hands, and yet it's somehow still a fair fight. And so I think that he's always, been interesting to me in that way. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of this. It looks like Craven wants to take on Krakoa as a whole, and given the state of things in Krakoa, could be interesting going forward. Our final comic of the week is going to be essentially a Halloween special here. We've got Crypt of Shadows #1. I enjoyed parts of this. This is one of those, it's not a singular story. This is 5 short stories thrown into one book. And
again, a nice gallery framing device.
Yeah. I actually have like Tales from the Crypt / Vincent Price vibes, like as one of my first notes. So, I enjoyed it. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a clip show, which is fine. I mean, comics are sometimes great. Like it'll just, you get a nice short story that, they wrap up with some other things. So there were some of these I liked, some of these that were not so good. But I particularly like the, and it's almost to set up for some upcoming books, including the upcoming Moon Knight, Werewolf by Night book,
right?
The upcoming Daughter of Blade book. So it sets some things up, but I didn't. I think the story between X-23 and Man-Thing went long.
Yeah.
But I think that to me that's my only real major criticism. I like the Moon Knight werewolf story. I like the ghost, the sort of straight up ghost story that's in it. I thought that was kind of fun. So, I mean, it's a great Halloween book. I mean, I don't know that if you release this in February, I would be like, oh yeah, no, it fits. But like,
right,
it's sort of like as a way to celebrate Halloween with Marvel is kind of.
Yeah, and I totally agree with your assessment of the Wolverine or X-23 / Man-Thing story. I think this book would have benefited from probably cutting down to like 5 to maybe 3 stories. I enjoyed the Morbius one more than I thought I would. Morbius is not a character I'm typically very interested in, but I liked this story.
The movie made you wear up to him.
But I like that each one, it's obviously a Halloween book. It's dealing with some characters that already have horror ties, but it adds another horror element into it. So I like that it kind of, added on to what it already was. So, I would say cut this down from 5 to 3, and it would have been, let these stories breathe a little bit more. And I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more, but I did like most of it, I'll say. Yeah, let's move on. This is normally where we would break away from the comics and get into, She-Hulk or Werewolf by Night or whatever Disney Plus thing or whatever film is out that we break down. But we don't have anything this week. So let's jump right into the news. And this guy is pretty familiar, right? I mean...
Yeah, welcome to Marvel Time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I feel like we talk about casting news all the time, and we're always just like, not really familiar with their work. I don't know, Benji, have you heard of Harrison Ford before?
He's the pilot, right? Yeah, I've heard of Harrison Ford.
Smuggler of sorts or something like that. Yeah, he's this was really interesting because this came out. It was reported a whole bunch, more or less rumored. And then finally, we got confirmation of it. Harrison Ford being cast as Thunderbolt Ross, replacing the late William Hurt after he passed away recently. And then we later on then learned that he was as that role for Captain America: New World Order, where he's going to fit into that film, where we know the leader is going to show up. So are we getting Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk? Are we going down that path?
That's my question, right? Like, I mean, because when I heard they were bringing him back, I was like, oh, they want to have him for the Thunderbolts,
right?
And that, I mean, because this is a change. He's not William Hurt. I mean, as much as I love Harrison Ford, he's not going to act his way into being William Hurt. So, he's going to play the role differently, which is fine. But I mean, I think the Red Hulk, you can't, because even if they don't do it, they're going to be asked 800 million times if he's going to do the Red Hulk.
Right.
Harrison Ford. I'm just impressed he was game for this.
I'm surprised by that too. I'm also excited to see the press leading up to Captain America: New World Order now, and hear him field those questions about potentially being the Red Hulk. I can't wait to hear his responses on that. That should be a lot of fun. But yeah, this is a huge get. I mean, obviously a big name. Not that Marvel has any shortage of big names, but like Harrison Ford is not one I expected to see in the MCU. And I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to this now. I also, as we're talking about, it was rumored and now confirmed, Kyle with the perfect line on that.
Yeah, he likes that line. I think he sent it to me twice.
Yeah, he gave me that one a while ago too. Yeah, I really like this. I'm surprised that we're even getting Thunderbolt Ross again. I thought we would have seen the last of the character, but clearly they've chosen to recast. And you know what though? I think, I mean, you can't go wrong here, right? It's Harrison Ford. Like if you're gonna recast the role, do it big. So,
and not a Disney legend yet for unknown reasons.
We'll see. Maybe that changes soon. But yeah, I'm excited for this one. More of the typical casting news that we talk about here. Paul Calderon has been cast in Ironheart. Sorry, no disrespect to Paul Calderon. I'm sure he's a fantastic actor. Coming off of Harrison Ford news, it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, I'm surprised you went in this order.
I like to lead off with the big news. He just cast in Ironheart. We don't know the role for him just yet, but it feels like we're getting Ironheart casting news like once a week at this point. So they are clearly ramping up to production on this series. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to meeting Riri Williams in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Our next bit of news, speaking of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and I might need your expertise, so your understanding a little bit more on this one. But so Disney has I guess announced or confirmed that there will be screenings of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever in France. And that's significant because they're not screening Strange World, the upcoming animation studios film, because of the rules that France has as far as.
So France has a rule where if something's released theatrically, you can't release it digitally for an extended period of time. I don't have the number in my head, but let's say 120 days. So I mean, it's obviously more than 90 because that's the normal Disney thing. So
yeah, it's 4 months for a pay VOD window, 17 months for subscription-based streaming, which I thought.
Okay, so basically they can't put this on Disney Plus for 17 months.
Right.
And so for Strange World, they said, okay, we just won't release it theatrically, and then we can put it on, just treat it like a Netflix original or whatever.
Right.
Disney Plus original. So so the thought was, well, what are they going to do with Black Panther? Are they going to release it theatrically and then wait? Or so, Disney's still pushing for that rule to be changed, but that's why this was significant.
Yeah, I'm so curious about those rules and what the purpose behind them really is.
You have not spent much time in France, right? France loves rules, and it's I mean, it's a post-war European socialist world where there's just rules for everything, and they think it's better. Other countries wouldn't, we would not necessarily accept the amount of rules they have in France, but it's what they chose to do. So it's their government.
Interesting choices. All right, moving on to some action figures / collectibles. New Hasbro Marvel Legends series War Machine figure has been revealed and is now available for pre-order. You can find the link to Entertainment Earth on Laughing Place right now. And here's a look, actually. So you got those like the blaster effects on the hands there. And here's a look at all of the accessories. So it comes with some alternate hands and then a few different blast effects. Really cool figure. And then, like I said, available for pre-order right now. $24.99, I believe. And then just a reminder, you can head to ee.toys/LPFan and get 10% off in-stock items. So it won't apply to this pre-order, but in-stock items on Entertainment Earth, plus free standard shipping on purchases $39 or more. Or you can also use the code LPFan at checkout when you check out Entertainment Earth. One last piece of news, back to the comics. We learned of a new villain that will debut in the upcoming new run of Miles Morales Spider-Man. I like the look. I like the ominous feel around this character. Don't love the name Rabble as the
Rabble.
Yeah.
I keep thinking it's like Barney's long lost sister, but then I realize that's Rubble.
Rubble, yeah, close. Rubble might be a better name though, too. I don't know. Rabble is a tech genius who will use an army of drones and deadly, never before seen gadgetry to upgrade Miles' Rose Gallery like never before. And then this is the new run on Miles Morales Spider-Man, coming from Cody Ziegler and Federico Vicentini. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Vishanti,
is that? Yeah, sure. We can go with that. Yeah, I like his book, so why not? The series will be starting December 7th. This cover you're seeing here is for issue number 3. That'll be shortly after the series gets started. Again, December 7th, the new Miles Morales Spider-Man. And believe it or not, that's it. I feel like last week we talked for much longer with She-Hulk and.
I will say, Alex is currently working on 2 pieces. He went to Lightbox Expo, which is about like animation design, that kind of world, and he went to 2 panels, one on Marvel animation as a whole, and one focused on the visual development for What If. And there was a lot of interesting things he learned about that. So check those out. They're not up yet. Otherwise, I would have him on to discuss them. But he learned a lot about Marvel animation, including some of the details, how they came up with it, how rushed that production was. I mean, it doesn't feel that way, but just some of the tricks they did to get through the fact that it was a rush production. So.
Right. Yeah, and rushed in the sense that, like, you know, they had to hit deadlines as much as possible, as opposed to it being like, oh, we're going to put out whatever product we're done with now.
Well, especially, I mean, with, live action having the limitations due to the pandemic at the time, they kind of needed that show to fill a void, and it had to fill the void when it had to fill the void.
I didn't settle for just.
Yeah, so that's going to do it for Marvel Time, unless I'm missing anything else. Did I miss any news? Has anything broken in the last 20 minutes? I know we tend to get breaking news on Marvel Time here, so.
Nothing we can talk about yet.
Okay. All right. Well, then.
Let's see here. Oh.
Okay.
No, okay.
All right. Well, then we will be back next week? Question mark.
We will be. It might be at a special time and day, but we will be back at some point next week. Watch our other shows to kind of figure it out. That's what Mac and I are going to talk once we hit end show about how to figure all that out. And then tomorrow we'll be live from Hollywood Studios as well. So
awesome. And Zacks of Life is out right now. We're skipping a week. We won't have a new episode on Monday, but then our Halloween special, where we're breaking down. Yeah, it's very spooky. Hopefully, maybe Kyle has done something that we can make it spooky. But we. That is definitely going to be the thumbnail for this episode now. But yeah, we'll be back on Halloween to talk about Werewolf by Night for Zacks of Life. But the episode that's out right now, Tony joined us and we drafted Walt Disney Animation Studios Avengers, and it was a lot of fun. So I highly recommend checking that out.
Explain.
So we drafted an Avengers team consisting of only characters from the Walt Disney Animation Studios films. Specifically heroes. You were not allowed to draft any villains. So it was fun.
Villains would make it a lot easier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that could change some things, definitely. Well, you are planning to do a children's draft. Check our draft results. We tweeted them just before we went live here today. So,
can you imagine if there was like a Hercules in the Avengers?
Oh, I couldn't possibly imagine. Again, check our draft results. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So check that out. It is on the Laughing Place YouTube channel, in addition to just about wherever you find your podcasts. Anything else, Ben, before we wrap it up?
No, I'm trying to find your Twitter so I can see who should win, who I'm going to endorse. I know my endorse is very. It is.
Yeah, at Zacks of Life Pod on Twitter if you want to go vote in the poll for who you think won. So
my problem is remembering how to spell Zacks.
That reminds me of another draft idea I have that we're going to do coming up pretty soon. But
here we are. There's 3 Z's.
Yes, there are 3 Z's.
No, and 1 X. I always get the X's. I always do like ZAXXX, which makes no sense.
Right.
That's a different movie.
I'm glad you made the joke so I didn't have to.
And okay, let's see here. Kyle had Maui, Hercules, Elsa, and Rapunzel. Mac had Genie, Wreck-It Ralph, Mulan, Baymax. Tony had Yensid, Namari, Cornelius Robinson, and Tanana.
Yeah. See, Tony went deep cuts on his draft here. Probably not going to be very beneficial for him in the polls, but
from like Brother Bear.
Yep.
See, yeah. I think I gotta go. Oof. See, Genie. Like the big question on Genie: is it Genie in the movie or Genie after the movie?
I guess that's up for interpretation. Either way, having 3 wishes kind of makes it pretty valuable.
I'm gonna go Tony. I feel like Yensid's like the game changer.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it for us this week. We'll be back next week at some point. Like Ben said, just keep an eye on our other shows, and we'll give you more of a rundown of the schedule as we get closer.
Yeah, and you can probably figure out what we have next week that makes scheduling difficult.
Let's say the visual effects team moved on to another project. All right, bye everyone.